Beneath the surface, shadows move where no light should reach. Whispers speak of secrets the world was never meant to know. The question is, do you dare look closer? Are you ready to discover the truth? Watch now. Before it's too late, the ocean was calm on the surface, but deep below something stirred. The Axial Seamount, a silent volcano hidden in the Pacific Northwest. Scientists called it predictable, but those who had been there whispered a different truth. A research vessel drifted above the site. Metal groaned as pressure pushed against the hull. The smell of rust and salt filled the air. The crew moved quietly, unease spreading like a sickness. On the sonar screen, a pulse, not from the seafloor, but from something moving, something alive. The lights flickered. The sound of grinding echoed from below deck. The ocean seemed to breathe against the steel walls. A low hum grew louder, vibrating through their bones. The lead scientist leaned closer to the monitor. Her breath fogged the glass. What she saw made her blood run cold. Not magma, not rock, but structures, symmetrical, artificial, columns rising from the ocean floor, covered in strange carvings that pulsed with faint light. The crew heard it then, a sound like whispers carried through water. No words, only a pressure in their minds, a warning. Suddenly the vessel shook. Metal screamed. Something massive brushed against the hull. The lights went out. In the darkness, the whispers grew louder. One crew member collapsed, clutching his head. Another swore he saw glowing eyes staring through the viewing port. The air reeked of burning wires and seawater. Then came the silence, heavy, crushing, absolute. When the lights returned, the monitors were blank. The sonar was dead, but in the static, a message scrawled itself across the screen. Eli Feist plus I. The captain gave the order to retreat, but the engines did not respond. Something was holding them in place. The sea beneath the Axial Seamount was not asleep. It was watching, and it did not want to be disturbed. The last entry in the ship's log ended abruptly. No coordinates, no survivors, only a single unfinished line. Why should never have come here? The vessel floated motionless, engines silent, crew frozen in fear. Outside, the water churned, not from waves, but from something rising. The sonar crackled back to life. A single blip, then two, then dozens. Shapes moved in formation, circling, closing in. The captain shouted for power. The crew scrambled to respond. But every switch sparked, every screen glowed red. A deep vibration rattled the ship. It felt alive, as if the ocean itself had a heartbeat. Through the viewing port, light appeared, pale, unnatural, streaming upward from the volcanic floor. The scientist leaned closer. Her eyes widened. The carvings on the seafloor were glowing again, but brighter, faster. Symbols shifted as if alive. Each pulse sent waves of pressure through the hull. The crew covered their ears. The sound was inside their skulls. One man screamed. Blood ran from his nose. He staggered back, whispering. The doors, they are opening. And then they saw it. The seafloor split wide. Not with fire, but with darkness. An abyss yawning beneath them. A void swallowing the light. From the depths, something moved. Enormous. Silent. Hidden just beyond sight. The captain gripped the railing. His knuckles white. God help us, he muttered. The vessel lurched violently, dragged toward the opening below. Metal screamed in protest. The ocean roared in answer. The glowing carvings flared one last time, and the whispers returned, clearer now, commanding. You were warned. The ship tilted, nose diving into the abyss. The crew clung to anything they could. Salt water sprayed through broken seams. The smell of burning oil filled the air, and as the blackness swallowed them whole, a final light appeared. A colossal eye, unblinking, staring through the dark. The eye glowed faintly cold. Ancient, it watched without blinking. The crew held their breath. No one dared to speak. The ship creaked as if crushed by invisible hands. Then silence, a silence so deep it pressed against their skulls. Their hearts pounded in the emptiness. The scientist whispered, voice trembling. It is not a volcano, it is a gate. The water around them shimmered, like heat rising from asphalt. Colours bent, shapes twisted, through the distortion. They saw structures, impossible towers rising in the dark, bridges of stone stretching across the void, cities that should not exist. The air grew heavy with a metallic taste. Their skin prickled. Breath came shallow. A low hum filled the vessel, the same sound as before, but now it carried rhythm, like a chant. Thousands of voices overlapping. One crewman clutched his head. He screamed until his voice broke. Then he fell silent, eyes wide, mouth still moving in unspoken words. The captain reached for the emergency beacon. His hands shook, but before he could press it, the console lit up. Words appeared on the cracked screen, not typed, etched. While you belong to US Numbu, the vessel shuddered, lights dimmed. The eye drew closer, its gaze pierced through steel and flesh alike. Every crew member felt it, felt themselves being weighed, measured, claimed. The seafloor opened wider. Darkness surged upward, pulling them in. No escape, no choice. The last thing they heard before the black swallowed everything was the sound of their own names, whispered from the abyss. The whispers grew louder, every name spoken in perfect clarity, every syllable dripping with malice. The crew clung to the walls, trembling. The ship groaned as if stretched by unseen hands. Bolts popped, panels warped. The air smelled of ozone and burning salt. Then, stillness. They were no longer sinking. The vessel hung weightless in the abyss. Through the windows, the city appeared again. But now it was closer. Structures towered like jagged teeth. Bridges coiled like serpents. Lights pulsed in rhythm with their own heartbeats. The scientist pressed her face to the glass. Her voice broke into a whisper. This is not human. Something moved among the towers. Tall, shadowed. Their outlines blurred, shifting with each glance. Not swimming, drifting as if the water itself carried them. A sudden clang rang through the hull. The crew jolted. Something had latched on. Claws scraped against metal. The sound dug into their bones. The emergency lights flickered red. Each flash revealed shapes pressing against the glass. Faces that were not faces, eyes without lids, mouths that never closed. The chanting grew louder. Inside their minds, every thought drowned, every fear amplified. One crew member broke. He ran to the hatch pounding, screaming to be let out. Before anyone could stop him, the locks turned on their own. The door hissed open. A flood of icy water surged in. He was pulled into the black. His scream ended in silence. The door sealed itself shut again. The rest of the crew stood frozen, soaked, gasping. The scientist's lips trembled. They are choosing one by one. Outside, the colossal eye opened wider, and the vessel began to move. Dragged toward the city gates below, the vessel slid downward, not sinking, pulled. The water pressed against the hull. Cold seeped through the steel. Every break turned sharp, burning their lungs. Outside the gates loomed, two massive slabs of stone, covered in carvings that raved like living veins. Each symbol glowed faintly in rhythm with the crew's heartbeats. The chanting grew deafening, not through the ears, through the mind. Words they could not understand, yet each syllable carved deeper into their thoughts. The captain gripped the console, his knuckles pale. He whispered, "This is a tomb." The scientist shook her head slowly. Her voice was hoarse, broken. "No, it is a prison." The gates began to move, stone grinding against stone, a sound like mountains tearing apart. Bubbles spiraled upward as the black gap widened. From the darkness within, pressure surged. The vessel rattled violently. Alarms screamed. Steam burst from broken pipes. The smell of scorched metal filled the air. The eye outside vanished. But the feeling of being watched grew stronger. It was not gone. It was waiting. One crewman began to laugh, a hollow, broken laugh. He pressed his face to the glass, eyes wide. "They are calling us home," he whispered. Suddenly, the lights went out. Only the glow of the runes outside remained, casting long shadows across their faces. Then came a new sound, a low rumble not from the ocean, from beneath the vessel itself. Something enormous was rising, slow, relentless, its shape too vast to see in full. Only glimpses, a ridge like a spine, skin that shimmered like molten rock, a maw opening in silence. The crew could not look away. Their bodies froze, their minds screamed. The scientist's voice trembled as she whispered, "That was never a volcano." The thing rose higher. Its boat blocked the faint glow of the ruins. The ocean around it shimmered, bending like lifted glass. The vessel shook under the weight of unseen currents. Bolts rattled loose. Pipes screamed as pressure built. The air filled with the stench of brine and burning metal. The crew huddled together, eyes wide. No one dared to speak. None dared to move. Through the murk, its shape grew clearer. Not flesh, not stone, something in between. Skin that pulsed like molten lava, but cracked like ancient rock. Dozens of eyes opened across its surface, not all the same size, not all in the same place. Each one focused on the vessel, each one alive. The chanting inside their skulls changed. It was no longer words. It was rhythm, a heartbeat, a command. The captain pressed his palms to his ears. His voice cracked as he shouted, "Stop! Get out of my head!" Blood seeped from his nose. His eyes rolled back. He collapsed to the floor. The scientist knelt beside him, trembling. Her whisper broke the silence. "They are breaking us piece by piece." The massive creature drifted closer. The water rippled against its impossible frame. Every eye blinked in unison, and the gates behind it glowed brighter. A current surged. The vessel was dragged forward, helpless. The city swallowed them whole. Through windows streaked with salt and oil, towers loomed on every side, twisting spires. Arches that reached upward like claws. Inside, the walls of the ship groaned. Something scraped along the hull. Metal bent inward. Not claws, not tools, hands. The crew screamed as pale fingers pressed through the steel. Water hissed and sprayed. The ship was no longer theirs. It was already inside, and the whispers became one voice, low, endless, filling every corner of their minds. The gate is open. The gate yawned wide, a wound in the seafloor, a mouth that swallowed light. The vessel slid forward, powerless. Water pressed against the glass, black and endless. Every surface groaned as if the ocean itself wanted in. Inside, the air turned thick. It tasted of rust and ashes. Each breath felt stolen. Each heartbeat echoed louder in the skull. The pale hands tore deeper into the hull. Cold spray soaked the floor. The smell of salt and copper filled the room. Fingers reached blindly, searching, grasping. A crewman cried out. He swung a wrench at one of the hands. The metal connected with a sickening crack. The fingers burst like brittle coral, but the hand grew back, bone knitting, skin stretching. Whole again, the scientist backed away, shaking her head. "This place does not follow our rules," she whispered. "This is older than rules." Outside, the towers pulsed. Their glow spread across the city, like veins awakening. The water trembled with each surge of light. Structures shifted, rearranging themselves. The city was alive. The captain stirred on the floor. His voice was faint, broken. "They are not keeping us out." His eyes glazed with terror. "They are pulling us in." The vessel crossed the threshold. The gates sealed shut behind them with a thunderous boom. Stone grinding against stone. The sound carried through the water, through their bones. Darkness swallowed the ship. Only the pulse of the city remained, a rhythm that matched their hearts, until their own heartbeat slowed and matched it perfectly. The scientist clutched her chest. Her pulse stuttered. Her eyes widened in horror. "They are synchronizing us," she gasped, "making us part of it." The lights flickered once, twice, then went black. In the void, one by one, the crew began to whisper, not their own words, but the chant, the same chant from the abyss. The chant spread through the vessel, low, hollow, voices overlapping in perfect rhythm. The scientist covered her ears, but the sound was inside her skull. Her own lips trembled, aching to join. The floor vibrated beneath them, not from engines, from something alive, something below. The hull pulsed like a beating heart. Steel warmed beneath their palms. Every rivet throbbed as though blood ran through it. The captain staggered upright. His eyes were empty, his voice monotone. "They have chosen us." The crew turned toward him, their faces blank, their mouths moving with the chant. One by one, their eyes glowed faintly. A pale, unnatural light. The scientist backed away, shaking. Her breath quickened. "No, this is not real," she whispered. But her voice cracked with doubt. The vessel descended deeper into the city, through twisting arches, past towers that shifted when unobserved. Streets lined with statues half buried in silt. Statues that seemed too fresh, too lifelike. The chanting grew louder. The sound pressed against her chest. Her ribs ached with each word. She stumbled into the control room. The screens were alive again, but not with data, with faces. Each monitor flickered with blurred images. Crew members who had been taken, their mouths still moving in silence, their eyes glowing. One face turned sharply toward her. It smiled. The ship jolted. Something massive had attached from below. A scraping, tearing sound echoed through the hull. The deck lurched violently. She fell hard against the floor. The chanting stopped. The silence was worse. Then came the sound, a deep guttural breath, drawn from the abyss beneath the ship. Slow, measured, as if something enormous had finally awakened. The breath shook the vessel. Walls rattled. Panels burst open, spewing sparks. The air turned heavy, thick with heat and salt. Each inhalation burned her lungs. Each exhale felt stolen away by the dark. The scientist crawled to her feet. Her hands trembled against the railing. Her pulse hammered in her ears. But the crew stood perfectly still. Their eyes glowed brighter. Their lips curled into faint, unnatural smiles, as if the sound of that breath filled them with peace. She whispered, voice cracking, "You do not hear it, do you?" No answer. Only silence. Only the faint hiss of the ocean pressing against the hull. Then, movement. The floor bulged upward beneath them. Metal warped. Bolts snapped like brittle twigs. Something was pressing from below, something vast. Its weight crushed the ship's frame. The scientist stumbled backward. Her hand brushed against a portal smeared with condensation. She wiped it clear and froze. Below the vessel, a mouth. Jagged rows of teeth curved like shattered stone, each one taller than a tower. The maw stretched wider with every breath. The gates had not led to a city. They had led to a throat. The chanting began again, but louder. So loud her vision blurred. So loud the glass quivered. Her knees buckled as blood dripped from her ears. The crew did not flinch. They spoke in unison now. Every word vibrating through the floor, through her bones. "It wakes." The vessel lurched, dragged downward, toward the endless black between those teeth. The ship tilted forward. Steel shrieked as it slid toward the abyssal maw. Water thundered against the hull like fists. The scientist clung to a railing. Her nails dug into rusted metal. Her breath came fast, shallow, ragged. The crew did not fight. They leaned with the tilt. Arms outstretched as though in worship. Their glowing eyes reflected the faint pulse from below. The teeth drew closer. Each one slick with shadows. Each one glistening as though wet with centuries of blood. The smell inside the vessel changed. Rock, sulphur. An ancient stench that filled her lungs and coated her tongue. She gagged, her stomach churned. But the others inhaled deeply, smiling. The vessel groaned as pressure tightened. Every rivet screamed. Every seam split just enough to let the ocean hiss through. The chanting reached its peak. The voices of the crew layered with something deeper, something not human. It shook the air. It shook her skull. Her vision swam. Dark spots burst across her sight. Her heart raced against the rhythm of the chant. Then silence. Instant absolute. The crew turned toward her, all at once. Their smiles stretched too wide. The captain stepped forward. His voice was not his own. It rumbled low and endless. You do not resist the ocean. You join it behind him, the portal lit with sudden fire, a glow from within the throat of the beast. Red, pulsing, alive. The ship crossed the threshold of its jaws. Darkness swallowed every trace of light, and in that crushing void she realized they were not entering a mouth. They were entering a chamber, a place built to keep them, a prison alive with breath. The chamber sealed around them, the teeth closed, locking out the ocean. Yet the pressure remained, pressing into their skulls, into their lungs. The vessel creaked as it settled on something solid, not stone, not flesh, something that shifted beneath them, pulsing with life. The scientist forced herself to stand. Her legs shook with each step. The air was heavy, metallic, almost sweet with decay. Each breath felt stolen, borrowed. The crew stood motionless. Their eyes glowed like lanterns in the dark. Their lips parted in silent harmony. The rhythm of their breathing matched the pulse of the chamber. She whispered, "Where are we?" Her voice was devoured instantly by the black. Then the walls lit up. Veins of light crawled outward like fire through oil. Symbols appeared, carved deep into the living surface. The same runes from the seafloor, now burning red. The captain turned toward her. His pupils were gone. Only white orbs stared back. "You are inside," he said. Inside the heart. The floor beneath her trembled. It throbbed in time with her heartbeat, each pulse stronger, each one pulling her chest tighter. She staggered, clutching her ribs. Her pulse began to slow, dragged into rhythm with the chamber. It hurt. Her heart rebelled, then surrendered. Her body no longer her own. The walls groaned. Shapes emerged from them. Figures pressed outward, their faces stretched in silent screams. Hands clawed at the surface but never broke free. The crew did not move. They only stared, their smiles widening as the chamber spoke through them. "You are many. You are one. You are ours." The light grew brighter, blinding. The walls rippled like liquid fire, and then a sound deeper than the ocean itself. A single beat, a single breath. The heart of the abyss awakening. The beat shook the chamber, a thunder that rattled teeth and split thoughts. Every surface rippled as though alive. The crew collapsed to their knees, not in pain. In worship, their voices rose together. A chant that was not human, low, endless. Each word pressed into the scientist's chest like a stone. Her heartbeat faltered. It no longer belonged to her. It moved with the rhythm of the chamber, with the pulse of something vast and ancient. She stumbled backward, her hand brushing the wall. It was warm. It throbbed beneath her skin. And when she pulled away, her palm glowed faintly with the same symbols. The faces trapped in the walls shifted. Their eyes rolled toward her. Their mouths opened in silent cries. She heard them inside her skull. 1,000 overlapping voices begging, warning, "Do not join." The captain rose slowly, his movements unnatural, puppet-like. His voice reverberated with the chamber's heartbeat. "It is too late. She has been chosen." The crew turned in unison, their glowing eyes fixed on her. Their smiles stretched wider, skin straining at the edges. The chamber shook again. A fissure split open in the floor. Light burst upward, blinding and hot. It smelled of ash, iron, and blood. Through the cracks something stirred. Not a creature, not a machine. Something older. A presence that did not move, yet filled the space. Her vision blurred. Her knees buckled. Her body swayed as though pulled downward by invisible hands. The captain extended his arm toward her. Stepped forward. He commanded, "Step into the heart." The floor cracked wider. The heat rose in violent waves. And from the depths, a single colossal eye opened. Its gaze burned through the light. Its pupil narrowed, locking onto her alone. The eye widened. Its gaze pierced through flesh, through thought. Her body stiffened under its weight. Heat surged from the fissure. It seared her skin, filled her lungs with fire. Every breath scraped like glass. The crew fell prostrate, faces pressed to the trembling floor. Their voices rose in unison, chanting louder, faster. The sound no longer words, just raw power vibrating in the air. The captain lifted his head. His eyes glowed white, burning with the same fire as the symbols. "You are chosen," he said. "Do not resist." The scientist staggered backward. Her palms burned with the runes etched into her skin. The marks pulsed in rhythm with the eye below. Each throb tore through her veins like molten iron. She screamed, clutching her arms. The glow spread across her body, up her wrists, over her chest, toward her face. The walls of the chamber rippled violently. The faces pressed within raved and shrieked without sound. Their mouths stretched wider, desperate pleading. She could hear them now, clearer, sharper. "Break the chain, break it before it binds." The fissure split wider. The light grew unbearable. It painted every shadow in crimson fire. The floor buckled beneath her. Steel screamed as the vessel cracked open like a shell. The smell of scorched oil and burning salt filled her lungs. And then, a sound deeper than thought. A single word, spoken not with voice, but with existence itself. rise. The crew lifted their heads in perfect unison, their bodies twisted, reshaped by the fire, bones elongate, skin split into glowing seams. They were no longer human. The eye pulsed again. The chamber roared like a living storm, and she felt her own body begin to shift. Her spine arched as fire raced through her nerves. Bones cracked beneath her skin. Every joint screamed in agony. The glow spread across her chest, searing veins into patterns not her own. Her heartbeat faltered, then matched the rhythm of the chamber. One pulse, one command. The crew rose around her. Their mouths stretched into impossible grins. Their eyes burned like embers, spilling light onto the trembling floor. The air thickened. It carried the stench of blood and sulphur, mixed with the sweetness of decay. Every breath burned her throat raw. Every exhale filled with smoke. The captain stepped forward. His body twisted. His arms lengthened like shadow branches. "You are the vessel," he said, voice layered with the chamber's roar. "You will carry the heart." The fissure below split wider. From its depths, tendrils of molten light surged upward. They slithered across the floor, hissing against steel. Each one reached for her. She stumbled back, her palms glowing hotter. The runes burned into her skin, now spread up her neck. Her vision fractured. She saw not one chamber, but many, endless, all filled with faces, all filled with eyes. The walls trembled. The imprisoned figures writhed more violently, their silent screams drilling into her mind. They pressed their hands against the surface, desperate to break through. Their voices cut through the chant, "Resist, or you will become us." The tendrils wrapped around her ankles. Heat seared through her boots, blistering her skin. The smell of burning flesh filled the air. Her scream tore through the chamber. But the crew only echoed it, not in pain, but in worship. The colossal eye pulsed once more. The light turned blinding. The tendrils dragged her toward the fissure, and with each inch the voice grew louder. Not outside her, inside her. "You are mine." The tendrils tightened. They pulsed with heat, each throb like molten chains on her flesh. Her skin blistered, split, and glowed from within. She clawed at the floor. Her nails tore against hot metal. Sparks stung her face, the air thick with smoke and salt. The crew circled her. Their bodies warped beyond recognition. Limbs bent backward. Jaws stretched wide, splitting skin. Yet they smiled, radiant in their surrender. The fissure roared beneath her. It was not a crack in the ground. It was a throat, alive, breathing. Calling her name with every exhale, the scientist's chest heaved. Her heartbeat raced against the chamber's rhythm. She fought it, resisted, but each pulse struck harder, forcing her body to match. The imprisoned faces in the walls pressed forward. Their eyes burned with desperation. Their mouths moved in frantic silence. One word echoed louder than the rest. "Break." Her palms flared. The runes blazed brighter than the fissure. For a moment, the tendrils recoiled, hissing like steam. The captain's voice boomed, layered with thunder. "You cannot break the heart. It breaks you." The chamber quaked. The eye below expanded, filling her vision. Its pupils stretched into a spiral, pulling at her thoughts, pulling at her soul. She screamed, pressing her glowing hands against the floor. The runes seared into the living surface. The chamber read. The walls buckled. The chanting faltered. The crew staggered, their smiles twitching, their glowing eyes flickered. For the first time, she felt the heart resist. And for the first time, the voice inside her roared in anger. "Wayudar!" The fissure erupted with blinding fire. The chamber split in two, and the scientist was dragged downward, not into the fire, not into the light, into something deeper, something colder, a void beyond the heart. The plunge was endless, no heat, no sound, only pressure crushing her ribs with invisible hands. Her arms flailed, her glowing palms dimmered, sparks dripping like fading embers. Each spark was swallowed instantly by the black. She could not breathe. The void pressed into her lungs, forcing silence. Her heartbeat slowed, heavy, reluctant. A whisper, so close it brushed her ear. "You are not falling, you are descending." Her body froze. The blackness shifted thick as oil. It clung to her skin, soaking into her pores. She felt eyes, dozens, hundreds, blazing faintly in the dark. Pale and watchful shapes emerged, not solid, not flesh. Shadows with teeth that curved like hooks. They circled her, swimming through the void as if it were water. Her mind burned with questions. Her lips tried to form words, but no sound escaped. The whisper returned, heavier this time, echoing from every direction. "You are in the hollow between worlds." The eyes swarmed closer. The shadows tightened their circle. Their teeth clicked, a rhythm like bones breaking. Then she felt it, a vibration below. A heartbeat, not hers, deeper, older, the true source of the Seamount's pulse. Her vision blurred, the shadows parted, and far ahead a glow began to bloom. Not fire, not magma, something worse. A vast silhouette stirred within the light. Its outline rippled too large to comprehend. Limbs, all wings, unfolded with slow, deliberate grace. The whisper grew into a chorus, many voices in unison. "You have reached the marrow, and the marrow knows your name." The light swelled, flooding the void. Her body shook, torn between awe and terror. The shape leaned forward, closer, closer. and then she saw its face. It was not a face made for human eyes. No symmetry, no comfort, a shifting mask of ridges and voids, as if reality itself refused to settle on its true form. Where eyes should be, there were abysses. They drew her gaze, pulling thought from bone, memory from blood. She felt herself unravel, piece by piece. The mouth was worse. It did not open. It parted, like continents splitting, revealing endless layers of teeth. Each one glistened as though wet with centuries of hunger. The chorus rose, shaking the void. You are marrow born now. You will carry its breath. Her chest convulsed. Air, thick and cold, forced itself into her lungs. It was not oxygen. It tasted of metal, of ash, of salt dragged from the ocean floor. Her veins burned. Her skin crawled. The glow around her hands reignited, not hers anymore, but tethered to the towering shape. She was a conduit, an unwilling vessel. The shadowed watchers pressed closer. Their teeth chattered in fevered rhythm, echoing like drums. They bowed as though welcoming her into their ranks. The colossal being leaned nearer. Its abyssal eyes widened, and a fragment of thought slipped into her mind, not in words, but in sensation, the feeling of the ocean folding, the weight of mountains tilting, the world breaking from the inside out. Her body spasmed, her scream echoed, but the sound was not hers. It was deeper, older, something that shook the marrow of the earth itself. The creature's chorus roared. The seal is thinning. The fracture opens. The void trembled. The black sea split beneath her. And for the first time she saw what lay below the marrow. The rift yawned wide. No light spilled from it. Only darkness thicker than stone, moving like liquid smoke. Her body hung above the chasm. The marrow's glow clung to her skin, shivering across her veins like living fire. It pushed her downward, slow. Inevitable. From the abyss below a sound emerged. Not a roar, not a voice. Something deeper. The grinding of mountains, the groan of an ocean spine. Her ears blood. Warmth trickled down her neck. The shadows around her bent, their hooked teeth rattling in panic. Even they were afraid. The vast being above did not move. Its abyssal eyes locked on hers unblinking. It wanted her to see. It wanted her to know. The chasm pulsed. Out of it rose tendrils, not flesh, not smoke, but raw absence. They brushed against her legs, each touch colder than death. Her skin froze and cracked where they lingered. Her mind fractured. Memories bled together. Childhood storms, broken glass, the smell of burnt copper. Each one stolen and swallowed by the tendrils. She tried to fight. Her glowing hands sparked, the runes flaring against the void. But the marrow's energy betrayed her. It flowed into the chasm, not out. She was feeding it. The chorus swelled, their voices trembling. The hunger wakes. The marrow is only the vessel. What sleeps below is the root. The ground of the void shuddered. A massive outline began to stir within the pit. Far larger than the marrow, far older than the seamount. The world above quaked through her bones. She heard the ocean scream, and then slowly and possibly, something began to rise. The chasm heaved. Currents of blackness surged upwards, swirling like storms. Her body shook in their pull, bones rattling as if hollow. From below, the outline grew sharper, not a shape of flesh, not stone, something vaster, something that bent the void around it. Its surface rippled like water, yet gleamed like obsidian, mountains of it, endless, moving as though it breathed. Her lungs seized. Every exhale was stolen, dragged downward into the pit. The marrow's glow in her veins pulsed faster, sensing with the thing's rhythm. Her body was no longer her own. The shadows wailed, their teeth clattering in broken patterns. They scattered, twisting away into cracks in the void. Even their worship could not hold against this rising force. Then came the sound, a low vibration, so deep it rattled her skull and split her vision. It was a heartbeat, not steady, but fractured, irregular, like a world half dead, half born. She covered her ears. It made no difference. The pulse was inside her head, inside her bones. The colossal being above, the marrow, remained still. Its abyssal eyes did not waver. It bowed its fractured face toward the rising shadow, and for the first time its chorus whispered in reverence, the root of depth. The pit convulsed. A limb, if it could be called that, emerged. A column of shifting dark, textured like molten glass. It scraped the sides of the chasm, carving scars into the void. She felt it probe the air, searching, reaching, finding her. Her heart lurched. Every nerve in her body screamed. The glow in her hands flared against her will, a beacon in the darkness. The root saw her. The root's lime stilled. It hung in the air, vast and silent. Every ripple along its surface bent the void, warping space like shattered glass. She could not move. Her body locked in place, glowing veins stretched like wires about to snap. Her heartbeat hammered against the unnatural rhythm around her. Then the limb shifted. It leaned closer. Its surface split, revealing spirals of depth within depth. Not flesh, not matter, an infinity of falling spaces. Her vision buckled, the world tilted. Her stomach churned with the weight of endless descent. The marrow above trembled. Its abyssal eyes flickered, the chorus faltering for the first time. Even it seemed to shrink in the root's presence. The whispers changed. No longer commands, no longer hymns, but pleading, do not awaken. Do not consume, she is not ready. The root ignored them, its spiraling core widened. A wind tore through the void, bitter and metallic, tasting of rust and drowning salt. It struck her face. Her lips split, her eyes burned with tears that crystallized mid-air. The glow in her hands revved. Runes crawled up her arms, burning into her skin like molten brands. She screamed, but the sound was devoured instantly. The root pulsed once. A soundless command, her body obeyed. Her arms lifted against her will, palms aimed toward the abyss. The marrow's chorus wailed.
You cannot give her the breath. The seal will tear.
The root did not stop, the void convulsed. The glow from her veins burst outward, weaving into the limb. Her life was being rewritten, and then she heard it. Not a whisper, not a chorus, but a single voice, deep as collapse, spoke her name. Her name rolled through the void like thunder beneath an ocean. Each syllable struck her bones, carved into her marrow. It was not sound, it was command. Her body convulsed, her mouth opened, but no scream came. Only airless silence, torn from her lungs. The root's spiral widened further. She saw galaxies collapse inside its depth, stars folding like paper. Light consumed, shredded, reborn in endless dark. Her mind reeled, memories shattered. Her childhood home dissolved into black dust. Her mother's voice warped into echoes of the chorus. Her own reflection fractured, replaced by the abyss. The marrow above shuddered. Its abyssal eyes burned brighter, fissures cracking across its shifting mask. The chorus roared in desperation.
She is only flesh!
She cannot hold the root, but the root's voice cut through them, calm and absolute. She will not hold. She will become. The glow in her veins erupted. Her skin split in radiant fissures, light spilling like liquid fire. The runes burned deeper, twisting into patterns not meant for human sight. Her body arched, every muscle tore and reformed. Her bones hummed like struck metal. She felt herself stretch, expand, dissolve. The shadows that once circled her scattered into the void, shrieking in terror. Their teeth clattered until they shattered like brittle glass. None dared look at her. The root's limb pressed against her chest. No weight, no touch, only a transfer. Her heart stopped, then restarted, not with her own rhythm, but with the fractured pulse of the abyss. Her veins no longer carried blood. They carried something colder, something infinite. And in that moment, she understood. The fissure at Axial Seamount was not a wound. It was a mouth, and she was being remade into its tongue. Her body trembled. Every vein burned with the cold fire of the abyss. She felt her skin stretch, her bones lengthen. Her reflection, what little of herself remained, was gone. The root's spiral pressed deeper. Its infinite eyes folded into her. Its broken rhythm became her own. Each beat of her heart shook the void like a drum. The marrow above revved. Its chorus screamed, fractured, desperate.
She is the breach! The world will drown in her breath!
Their voices shattered like glass against stone. No power remained in them, only fear. Her mouth moved without her will. Her voice spilled out, but layered with tones not human, a harmony of abyssal sound. I am not flesh, I am not vessel, I am the tongue of the root. The shadows scattered, wailing as they dissolved into black foam. Their worship had failed them. Their god was no longer theirs. The void surged, waves of nothingness rolled outward, bending reality like paper. She saw the surface world in flashes, oceans buckling, ships dragged beneath in silence, the sky folding into unnatural angles. Her hands flared brighter. Runes crawled across her chest, her throat, her face. Every symbol burned with truth she could not deny. She was rewriting the seal, the root pulsed in approval. Its spiral closed slightly, retreating into the abyss. But its voice lingered inside her head, steady as law. Speak, and the fracture widens, command, and the world bends. Her glowing eyes lifted. For the first time she felt not fear, but hunger, and deep within the marrow, something else stirred, a rival rhythm, a second pulse, not of the abyss, but of something still resisting. The rival pulse struck like a hammer. It clashed against the rhythm of the root, sharp and deliberate. For a moment, her body faltered. Her glowing veins flickered as if unsure which power to obey. The void shook. The marrow above twisted violently, its abyssal eyes cracking wide. The chorus no longer wailed. It chanted low, steady, defiant. The seal still binds. The seal still binds. Their words carried weight, not just sound. Each syllable rippled through the dark, pressing against her chest, forcing her stolen heart to stutter. Her body seized. Pain tore through her ribs, her skull, her spine. It felt as though two worlds fought inside her, each pulse demanding her obedience. The root's spiral flared, widening in fury. Its voice cut through the marrow's chant. She is mine. She was chosen in the fracture. The marrow's mask split, light spilling from its cracks. Its own voice roared, a storm of endless echoes. Not chosen, corrupted, she carries both, and that is her ruin, her vision blurred. Two landscapes flashed before her eyes. The abyss below, infinite spirals, galaxies swallowed whole, the cold beauty of collapse. And the chamber above, the seamount, the glowing fissure, walls slit with salt and blood. The faces of her crew still imprisoned in stone. Both called to her. Both demanded surrender. Her hands shook violently, runes blazing and twisting. The light bent back on itself, splitting into two patterns. One spiraled downward, the other clawed upward. She screamed, caught in the middle. Her body split with light, her veins glowing red on one side, black on the other. The void around her quaked, threatening to shatter. The root thundered. Open. The marrow thundered back. Seal. And she realized, whichever word left her lips would decide the fate of both worlds. Her throat burned. Every breath was a war. The root's command pressed against her tongue, heavy as stone. The marrow's defiance throbbed in her chest, sharp as glass. Her body tore between them. Bones cracked, healing and breaking again. Skin split in lines of fire, leaking light that hissed when it hit the void. The fissure inside her widened. Her scream echoed with two voices at once, one low, endless, like collapsing waves. The other jagged, furious, like lightning splitting mountains. The shadows that had fled now crept back. They gathered at the edges of the void, trembling, waiting. Their hooked teeth clicked nervously, eager for the outcome. The visions returned. On one side, oceans folding, cities swallowed, skies torn open to spirals of dark. On the other, Seamount chambers glowing, runes sealing, faces of her crew weeping in stone. Both futures clawed at her. The runes on her arms pulsed violently. Black spirals wound upward, red seals etched downward. Her flesh was the battlefield. Her will the last unbroken barrier. The root's voice pressed deeper, intimate, almost tender. Say it. Open. Let hunger reign. The marrow's chorus bellowed in defiance, their desperation turning to rage. Speak the seal, and the fracture. Bury it forever. Her lips quivered, her jaw locked. Every nerve screamed. And then, a new sound. Not the root, not the marrow. A third pulse faint, rising from somewhere deeper inside her. Her own. It was fragile, uneven, but it was hers. The void bent toward it, confused. The root recoiled. The marrow hesitated. Both forces faltered as her true heartbeat broke through their command. Her veins blazed white, neither black nor red. A light raw, unshaped, alive. The void shuddered in silence. The root whispered low. What have you done? The white glow surged through her veins. It burst from her chest in waves, pushing back the dark spirals and red seals alike. Her body arched, every tendon pulled taut as if strung on a divine wire. The root spiral red, collapsing in on itself. Its voice cracked with fury. You are flesh. You cannot shape the marrow. The marrow roared back, but its tone was shaken. She is not flesh. She is fracture given form. The shadows recoiled. Their clicking teeth shattered as the white light touched them. They dissolved into drifting ash, erased without resistance. Her own heartbeat grew stronger. It pounded against the void, steady and unyielding. Every thrum was hers alone, no root, no marrow. For the first time, she felt control, not borrowed power, not command whispered into her veins, but choice. She raised her hands, the runes twisted violently, resisting her. Her skin split deeper, blood and light pouring out in equal measure. Yet she held firm. The fissure below howled. The root's spiraling depth lashed upward, tendrils reaching, desperate. It clawed at her light, trying to pull it down. The marrow strained above, its cracked mask leaking storms of broken energy. It pushed downward, trying to bury her light beneath ancient seals, but neither could touch it. Her glow burned through their grip. A third path carved itself into the void. The abyss quaked. The walls of blackness trembled like shattered glass. The seamount above shook, stone crumbling into the ocean depths. Her voice finally returned, not a whisper, not a scream, a clear, steady tone that split the darkness. I am not seal. I am not hunger. I am the break. The void fractured. Light and dark split in all directions. The marrow shrieked. The root thundered. And through the rupture, something else stirred, something neither of them had foreseen. The white glow surged through her veins. It burst from her chest in waves, pushing back the dark spirals and red seals alike. Her body arched, every tendon pulled taut as if strung on a divine wire. The root spiral wraith, collapsing in on itself. Its voice cracked with fury. You are flesh. You cannot shape the marrow. The marrow roared back, but its tone was shaken. She is not flesh. She is fracture given form. The shadows recoiled. Their clicking teeth shattered as the white light touched them. They dissolved into drifting ash, erased without resistance. Her own heartbeat grew stronger. It pounded against the void, steady and unyielding. Every thrum was hers alone, no root, no marrow. For the first time she felt control, not borrowed power, not command whispered into her veins. But choice. She raised her hands. The runes twisted violently, resisting her. Her skin split deeper, blood and light pouring out in equal measure. Yet she held firm. The fissure below howled. The root's spiraling depth lashed upward, tendrils reaching, desperate. It clawed at her light, trying to pull it down. The marrow strained above, its cracked mask leaking storms of broken energy. It pushed downward, trying to bury her light beneath ancient seals, but neither could touch it. Her glow burned through their grip. A third path carved itself into the void. The abyss quaked. The walls of blackness trembled like shattered glass. The seamount above shook, stone crumbling into the ocean depths. Her voice finally returned. Not a whisper, not a scream. A clear, steady tone that split the darkness. I am not seal. I am not hunger. I am the break, the void fractured. Light and dark split in all directions. The marrow shrieked. The root thundered. And through the rupture, something else stirred. Something neither of them had foreseen. Her foot touched the edge of the rupture. The light surged alive, curling around her ankle like mist. It was warm but not burning, soft but endless. The hum deepened. Each vibration passed through her chest, rattling her ribs in rhythm with her pulse. It steadied her, carried her forward. The root lashed upward. Its spirals clawed at the edges of the break, desperate to drag it shut. You are not bridge. You are mine. You were carved for hunger. The marrow bellowed, its fractured mass crumbling into shards of molten stone. Its chorus shrieked in dissonance. If she crosses, the seal is nothing. The ocean will not hold. Their voices crashed together, rage and terror entwined. But neither could stop her. The light pulled her in. It wrapped her veins, filling her with radiance that outshone the black spirals and the red seals. Her flesh no longer cracked. Her body no longer tore. For the first time since the descent, she felt whole. Inside the rupture, shapes unfolded. Not monstrous, not divine. Forms woven from threads of light, shifting like waves. Eyes that shimmered like pearls in the deep. Hands reaching outward, not to seize, but to guide. Her breath caught. Salt stung her tongue, sharp and clean. The air smelled of storms before rain. The hum spoke again, stronger now. Many voices layered into one. Root consumes, marrow binds, but bridge endures. The root screamed, its spirals unraveling in violent rage. The marrow shrieked, its chorus breaking into discordant shards. And then, from the light, a single hand touched her chest. The glow pierced straight through her heart. She gasped, eyes flooding white. Her body lifted. Her voice broke free, louder than the void itself. I am not fracture. I am passage. The rupture exploded outward. The void splintered, and all three forces, root, marrow, and bridge, collided in blinding silence. ChatGPT said the silence burned. No sound, no breath. Only the weightless drift of shattered darkness and radiant shards. Her body hovered between them. The light held her, but it pulsed erratically, like a heart learning to beat for the first time. The root spirals recoiled, thinning into brittle threads. They quivered, twitching, refusing to dissolve. Its voice returned, broken but venomous. You cannot unmake me. Every bridge must crack. The marrow staggered. Its molten shards drifted in the void, glowing faintly. The chorus had quieted, but one voice remained, a whisper, low, insistent. She'll must hold. Her chest ached where the light pierced her. Not pain, something deeper. A pulling, a choice waiting to be made. The rupture widened. Through it waves of impossible colour rippled like liquid glass. She glimpsed cities suspended in the dark sea, spiralling towers, colossal forms drifting, their eyes closed in slumber. The hum returned, gentle now, almost tender. It was not command, it was invitation. Her breath shivered, her hands glowed, and in that moment she understood. If she stepped through, the bridge would not close. The root and marrow would be sealed beyond reach. But so would she. The void quaked again. The spirals lashed, the molten shards screamed. The choice pressed harder, crushing her chest like stone. Step forward or return. Her next breath would decide everything. Her fingers trembled in the light. The glow ran across her skin like liquid fire threading into her veins. Each heartbeat echoed louder, slow, thunderous, infinite. The spirals of the root lunged. Black tendrils lashed, screeching against the barrier of light. Each strike fractured into sparks, burning away before reaching her. But with every clash, the bridge groaned, cracking like ancient stone. The molten shards of the marrow drifted closer. They pulsed faintly, as if alive, whispering promises in a language she almost understood. Her breath caught. The air tasted of ash and metal, sharp and electric. Behind the rupture, the cities moved. Not dead, not silent, awakening. She saw titanic shadows stir, heads tilting toward her presence. Their closed eyes flickered with faint light like embers buried in ash. The invitation swelled. Not words, but a feeling. Step through, become part of the seal. Step through, and they would not wake. Her chest tightened. She felt the pull of gravity where there was none. The weight of all choices pressed against her lungs. The root hissed, its voice a knife of glass. Step through and you join us. You will vanish, nameless, faceless. Another silence in the dark. The marrow answered, its tone fractured yet burning. Stay and the seal weakens. All will wake, all will devour. The light inside her flared, fierce, blinding. It was no longer calm. It was alive, and it demanded a decision. The void buckled. The spirals snapped and twisted. The shards screamed louder. The rupture widened into a mouth of light and shadow. Her body leaned forward. Her foot hovered above the edge. Her breath slowed. One final inhale before the plunge. The next heartbeat would break the balance. Her foot touched the edge. The surface trembled beneath her skin. It was warm as if alive. It pulsed with her heartbeat. The bridge shuddered. cracks spidered outward, glowing with fire from within. The void rumbled like a beast waking in its den. Every sound pressed into her skull, deep and metallic. The root lashed again. Its tendrils splintered against the light, shrieking like tearing metal. The sound clawed at her ears. Her vision blurred, but she held her ground. The marrow drifted closer. Its shards circled her like vultures, their edges sharp, glittering with hungry intent. They whispered in tones of ash and flame. Each word left a taste of iron on her tongue. She closed her eyes. The light inside her flared, coursing through her veins. It was not her own heartbeat anymore. It was something greater, something older. Her hand lifted without thought. The void bent around it. The spirals of the root recoiled, hissing. The marrow froze, their glow flickering uncertainly. The rupture widened into a blinding horizon. The air grew heavy, pressing her lungs flat. The scent of burning stone filled her nose. Every muscle in her body ached with the weight of choice. She stepped forward, one pace. The bridge wailed beneath her, splitting open. Flames leapt from the cracks, clawing upward like grasping hands. The shadows of the cities stirred again. This time eyes opened. Rows upon rows of colossal eyes glowing with hidden fire. They all turned to her, and in their silence she understood. Whatever choice she made, the world would never be the same. The light inside her screamed. The root surged in fury. The marrow reached in desperation. Her next step would decide everything. Her foot touched the edge. The surface trembled beneath her skin. It was warm, as if alive. It pulsed with her heartbeat. The bridge shuddered. Cracks spidered outward, glowing with fire from within. The void rumbled like a beast waking in its den. Every sound pressed into her skull, deep and metallic. The root lashed again. Its tendrils splintered against the light, shrieking like tearing metal. The sound clawed at her ears. Her vision blurred, but she held her ground. The marrow drifted closer. Its shards circled her like vultures, their edges sharp, glittering with hungry intent. They whispered in tones of ash and flame. Each word left a taste of iron on her tongue. She closed her eyes. The light inside her flared, coursing through her veins. It was not her own heartbeat anymore. It was something greater, something older. Her hand lifted without thought. The void bent around it. The spirals of the root recoiled, hissing. The marrow froze, their glow flickering uncertainly. The rupture widened into a blinding horizon. The air grew heavy, pressing her lungs flat. The scent of burning stone filled her nose. Every muscle in her body ached with the weight of choice. She stepped forward, one pace. The bridge wailed beneath her, splitting open. Flames leapt from the cracks, clawing upward like grasping hands. The shadows of the cities stirred again. This time eyes opened. Rows upon rows of colossal eyes glowing with hidden fire. They all turned to her, and in their silence she understood. Whatever choice she made, the world would never be the same. The light inside her screamed. The root surged in fury. The marrow reached in desperation. Her next step would decide everything. She froze. The air shifted. It was colder now, sharp as ice against her burning skin. The heat of the bridge clashed with the chill pressing into her spine. It felt unnatural, like two worlds colliding inside the same breath. Slowly she turned her head. The void behind her was no longer empty. Something stood there, not vast like the root, not fractured like the marrow, smaller, human-shaped. Its outline flickered, as if cut from shadow and stitched with faint light. It had no face, yet she felt its gaze pierce deeper than the eyes of the cities. Colder, sharper, unforgiving. Her chest tightened. Her breath came shallow, tasting of ash and metal. The bridge quaked, splitting beneath her feet, but she could not move. The presence held her in place with nothing but silence. Then it raised a hand. The gesture was calm, almost gentle, but the void itself recoiled from it. The root revved violently. The marrow shrieked, their shards scattering like broken glass. The colossal eyes in the distance blinked shut, all at once. Darkness swept across the horizon like a tidal wave. Her light flickered. It sputtered inside her chest, unstable, unsure. The warmth turned heavy, crushing. She felt herself being pulled, not toward the root, not toward the marrow, but toward this silent figure of shadow and light. The air grew so cold it burned. The silence deepened until she could hear her own blood rushing in her ears. And then, without moving its mouth, the figure spoke. Not with sound, but inside her mind. You were never meant to choose. Her knees weakened. The words echoed through her skull, heavy as stone. They carried no tone, no emotion, only finality. The root recoiled into the dark, hissing. The marrow spun away, their glow dimming to ash. Even the colossal cities, once restless, now lay still. All forces bent back, retreating from the figure behind her. The bridge groaned beneath her feet. It felt brittle, fragile, as though it would crumble if she breathed too hard. The cold pressed deeper, wrapping around her ribs like iron bands. Her light sputtered, thrashing inside her chest, fighting to stay alive. She wanted to speak, to ask what it meant. But her mouth was locked, frozen shut. Her tongue was heavy as stone. Her body did not obey her. The figure stepped closer. Each movement rippled through the void like a shockwave. The cracks in the bridge widened. The air itself seemed to collapse inward with every step. When it was only a few paces away, she felt its presence seep through her skin. Not touching, not physical, but inside her, filling the hollows of her mind. The silence broke, not by sound, but by sensation. Memory surged, not hers. Worlds collapsed, seas boiling into steam. Skies burned black. Ayas, millions of them, opening in the dark. Her body shook. Tears blurred her vision. The taste of iron filled her mouth. Her heartbeat was no longer her own. It pounded in rhythm with the figure's stillness. The voice came again. You are the fracture, not the seal, not the saviour. The fracture. The bridge split wide behind her. Flame screamed upward, devouring the edges of the void. Her body leaned forward, closer to the rupture. The pull was irresistible. The figure raised its hand once more. The choice was gone. Her fate had already been written. Her breath broke into ragged gasps. Each inhale tore at her chest. Each exhale fogged in the freezing air. The figure loomed closer now, its faceless head tilted as if studying her. The silence deepened until even her heartbeat felt stolen. The bridge cracked wider. Shards of glowing stone tumbled into the rupture. They fell endlessly, their screams echoing long after they vanished. The sound lodged inside her ears like knives. Her light pulsed violently, flaring against the figure's shadow. It fought to stay alive, burning her veins, searing her bones. She staggered, clutching her chest, nails biting into her skin. The warmth felt wrong now. Too much, too powerful. The figure spoke again, not in words, but in a surge of pressure that drowned her thoughts. You are not vessel. You are wound. The root revved at the edges of the void, keening in rage. The marrow shards cracked and splintered, turning to dust. The colossal eyes of the cities flickered open once more, but none dared move. They only watched her. Her knees buckled. She fell to the bridge, palms pressing against the burning surface. The stone blistered her skin, but she could not let go. The heat and cold fought through her body, tearing her apart. Visions erupted. She saw the rupture spreading, splitting not only this place, but her world above. Oceans tearing, mountains sinking, skies bleeding with fire. Her light screamed again. The figure's shadow pressed harder, suffocating. The void trembled, collapsing inward like a dying star. And then, the figure bent close. The edges of its faceless form brushed against her ear. In the silence, it whispered, "You were created to end the seal, not protect it." The bridge gave way beneath her, and she fell. ChatGPT said she plunged into the rupture. The void swallowed her whole. There was no air, no sky, only pressure crushing from every direction. Her skin burned with molten heat, then froze with cutting ice, both at once. Her veins cracked with light, spilling into the dark like shattered glass. The roar of the root echoed around her. Its tendrils reached, thrashing in fury. But they could not touch her now. She fell beyond their reach. The shards of the marrow tried to follow. They fractured, screaming, dissolving into ash. Their glow faded until the black consumed them. Deeper, faster. Her body stretched thin, pulled like thread unraveling from a spool. Her thoughts scattered, fragments of memory drifting away like broken feathers. The silence shattered. She heard it, a heartbeat, not hers, not the figure's. Something older, something vast. It shook the rupture with each pulse. The sound pounded through her bones, rattling her teeth. Her body trembled in rhythm with it, unwilling, enslaved. The figure fell with her silent, patient, its faceless head turned, watching as her light bled out into the dark. No words, no command, only presence. Her lungs screamed for breath, her throat filled with ash and salt. The taste was thick, bitter, choking. And then, the black split open. She was no longer falling through emptiness. She was plunging towards something, a surface, an endless plane of obsidian, glowing faintly with cracks of molten red. It pulsed in time with the heartbeat. Each throb sent shockwaves through the dark, rattling her soul. The closer she came, the more she felt it. A hunger, a mind buried deep below that plane, waiting, watching, awakening. Her light convulsed inside her chest. Her body screamed to resist. But the rupture would not let her. The figure finally spoke, its voice inside her skull like cold iron. Now you will see what the seal was meant to hide. Her body struck the plane, but it did not shatter. It swallowed. The obsidian rippled like liquid, pulling her under. The heat scorched her skin. Her scream drowned in molten silence. The cracks of red surged around her, wrapping her like chains of fire. The heartbeat thundered louder. It was beneath her now, so close. Each pulse shook the liquid stone, sending waves across its surface. Her light flared in panic, bursting from her chest in jagged streams. The glow tore at the molten chains, but the plane only tightened its grip. It did not want to release her. The figure descended slowly above the surface, untouched, unaffected. Its shadow stretched wide, draping over her as she sank deeper. The faceless head tilted. Watching with the stillness of eternity, her lungs collapsed. The air was gone. The taste of metal filled her throat, thick and choking. Her skin blistered, yet did not burn away. The pain remained. The suffering was deliberate. Then the plane shifted. The red cracks widened. A sound bled through. A groan low, guttural, endless. It was not the heartbeat, it was something else. Something moving, something vast. She felt it stir beneath the surface, a body too large to imagine, bones grinding like mountains, flesh pressing against stone, straining to rise. The obsidian around her quaked, bubbles of molten fire burst, spraying sparks into the dark. The airless silence split with vibrations so deep they rattled her soul. Her light screamed in protest, bursting in violent arcs. The chains cracked but did not break. The plane wanted her closer. It pulled her down, until the glow beneath revealed itself. An eye enormous, lidless, staring through the molten dark. Its pupil narrowed when it found her. The heartbeat quickened, the plane shivered, and the figure above whispered in her mind, "You are the key that breaks its sleep." The eye widened. Its glow split the molten plane into rivers of fire. Heat roared upward, searing her skin, blistering her lips. The airless void throbbed with a sound beyond thunder. The ground beneath her buckled. The obsidian fractured into vast plates, each piece drifting apart. Through the widening cracks, something vast moved below. Not stone, not flesh. Her veins burned as the chains dragged her lower. Her body shook, veins glowing white hot as the light inside fought. It screamed against her bones, desperate to escape. But the plane held her fast, feeding her to the thing that stirred. The heartbeat pounded faster. It was no longer a rhythm. It was a call of summoning. The surface convulsed. A shape rose beneath, titanic, covered in ridges like mountains and scars like canyons. Its skin glistened wet and black, steaming where molten rivers licked its surface. The heat smelled of sulphur and rot, thick, choking, unbearable. Her vision blurred. Her ears filled with the grinding of colossal bones shifting after ages of stillness. Each movement shook the plane apart. Each tremor pushed her closer to its rising form. And then a second eye opened, far wider, far brighter. The glare seared through her mind, burning away every thought that was not fear. The void itself recoiled. The root revved at the horizon. The remnants of the marrow disintegrated into sparks. Even the distant cities turned away, their endless eyes closing. The figure above her remained still, its faceless head bowed slightly, as though in reverence. Her body broke the chains with a violent burst of light, but it was too late. The ground split fully open, and the thing beneath began to rise. The plane tore apart. Obsidian plates heaved upward, tilting, shattering, crashing into the void like collapsing worlds. Flames surged from the fissures, a roar of molten breath. The stench of sulphur thickened, burning her throat with every gasp. She hovered above the chaos, suspended by her failing light. Her veins pulsed erratically, glowing brighter, then dimming like a faltering star. Her bones ached, hollow, as if something inside her strained to break free. Beneath her, the vast shape climbed higher. First, ridges like mountains, then valleys of scars deeper than oceans. Each detail dwarfed her existence. Each glimpse told her she should not be seeing this. A claw emerged, black, glistening, jagged. It dug into the broken plane, sending shards spinning outward into the void. The sound of its scraping stone was deafening, a scream that split her skull. Another claw followed, then a limb, massive. Heaving, every motion rattled the void, bending the horizon until it seemed ready to snap. The eyes glared brighter, two suns of molten gold. When they locked on her, her light faltered, shrinking in terror. Her chest constricted. Her breath vanished. Her body shook as if it belonged to the gaze alone. The figure above her did not move. It watched, reverent, silent. The shadow stretched wider now, cast across the rising form as though to crown it. The heartbeat was no longer a beat. It was a war drum, thunderous, relentless. Every pulse rippled through her flesh, demanding surrender. And then the creature's mouth broke the surface, a vast line of jagged stone and bone, steaming as it split open. The exhale that followed shook the plane apart. The wind of its breath was hot, wet, rancid with decay. It smelled of ages long dead, of worlds already consumed. Her light flared one last time, blinding against the dark, but the chains of the plane surged again, dragging her down toward that open maw. The figure's voice struck her skull like iron. "Now you understand. You are not the protector. You are the offering." The chains yanked harder. Her body lurched downward, every bone rattling under the pull. The heat of the maw scalded her skin. Her lips cracked. Her eyes stung. The breath of the thing rolled over her in waves. Hot, wet, rancid. It clung to her skin like oil. Each inhale filled her chest with rot. She gagged, choking on air that was not air at all. The creature's teeth emerged. Not white, not bone. Black stone, jagged and wet, glistening as though carved from the void itself. They ground together with a groan so deep it shook the marrow of her bones. Her light spasmed inside her chest. It lashed outward, slashing at the chains. Bolts of radiance cut through the molten links, sending sparks flying. But for every one that broke, two more coiled tighter. Her arms trembled, her veins bulged with fire. The glow from within her began to fracture her skin. Cracks split across her arms and shoulders, spilling blinding light into the dark. The figure above finally moved. Its hand stretched outward, calm, deliberate. The void bent toward it. The chains answered, tightening their grip. The colossal eyes of the beast flared wider. Its gaze burned through her body, pinning her in place. Her light dimmed against it, as though swallowed before it even left her skin. The ground shook as the creature pushed higher, dragging more of its titanic form into view. Its shoulders rose, ridges of obsidian and fire. Steam burst from fissures along its flesh. The sound was like mountains tearing apart. Her body hung just above its open maw. The darkness inside its throat shifted alive, reddening with shapes she could not understand. The smell grew stronger, decay, ash, and something far older. Her mind screamed. Her body burned. Her light was moments from collapse. And then, the figure's voice cut through her skull once more. Do not resist. This is why you were born. The chains gave a final violent pull. She plunged closer to the maw, so close she felt the heat of its breath searing her lungs from within. Her skin blistered as the heat swallowed her. The world blurred into smoke and flame. Her lungs clawed for breath, but found only ash. The chains rattled, dragging her lower. Her toes brushed the jagged edges of the beast's teeth. Stone, wet, slick with something that hissed as it dripped. The abyss within its throat pulsed, not empty, not hollow, breathing, calling. Her heart thundered, each beat sending cracks of light tearing through her flesh. The glow burned brighter, searing her chains. They hissed, they groaned, but they held. The figure above leaned closer. Its eyes gleamed with cold triumph. You cannot fight what you are, it whispered. Her jaw clenched. Her light surged again, desperate, furious. The air split with the sound of shattering glass. Fragments of brilliance tore free from her body, scattering across the void like falling stars. The beast froze, its cavernous eyes narrowed. A sound rolled from its throat, a growl so deep it shook the chains, shook the figure, shook her very soul. Her light had reached it, not burned, not scarred, but stirred. The abyss inside its maw read violently, shapes pressing against the darkness like shadows struggling to break free. The beast roared, the force slamming against her body like a tidal wave. Her ears split with pain. Her skin peeled with fire. The figure above hissed in anger, raising both hands now. The chains coiled tighter, cutting into her flesh. Blood, thick, blackened, trickled down her arms. Still her light did not stop. It pulsed faster, louder, stronger. The cracks across her skin spread. Her bones glowed like molten iron. The beast's roar turned to a sound she did not expect. Not hunger, not rage, recognition. Her heart nearly stopped, because within that endless voice she heard it speak her name. The sound of her name echoed, low, resonant, unmistakable. The chains faltered. The figure above froze, its hands trembling mid-command. For the first time fear crossed its face. The beast's eyes glowed with fire. Not hunger, not rage, recognition, reverence. The abyss in its throat swirled, boiling with shadows that clawed at the surface. Whispers spilled from the depths. Broken voices, thousands overlapping. Each one spoke her name. Her chest burned. Her light pulsed like a heartbeat, in rhythm with the monster below. She gasped, not from pain, but from realization. This creature, this abyss, was bound to her. The figure's snarl cut the silence. No, she is mine. She belongs to the chains. It yanked its arms, summoning black tendrils from the air. They slithered around her, coiling tighter, suffocating her glow. Her vision blurred. Her body quaked. But then the beast shifted, its massive head lowered, teeth grinding against stone. The shadows in its throat surged upward, bursting into spirals of flame. The air cracked, burning with ozone and ash. The chains around her groaned. The figure shouted, voice cracking with desperation.
You do not wake her!
You do not remember her. The beast roared again, and this time the roar split into words. She is not yours. The world shuddered. Stone rained from above. The void itself trembled. Her heart raced, caught between terror and awe, because deep inside she knew the next moment would decide everything. The chains rattled violently. Sparks of shadow and light clashed where they bound her wrists. The cavern shook as if the earth itself feared what was about to awaken. The figure raised its hand. A blade of pure darkness formed, thin, jagged, dripping with venomous energy. Its steps were slow, deliberate, filled with intent to strike her down before the truth could rise. Her glow flickered. Her breath caught. Every instinct screamed that this was the final moment, the one the whispers had warned her of. The beast pressed closer. Its enormous body scraped against the stone, wings unfurling in a storm of ash. Eyes burning like coals locked onto hers. It roared once more, and the roar carried weight like a command. Break. The words slammed into her like thunder. The chains cracked. Her body convulsed, light searing through every vein. Pain, heat, freedom. The figure lunged, blade aimed for her heart, but the beast's shadow surged upward, forming a barrier of fire and black mist. The strike collided, sending a shockwave through the chamber. The air turned molten, filled with smoke and the sharp tang of iron. Her eyes widened. The glow around her spiraled outward, forming patterns. Symbols she did not understand, but somehow remembered. Ancient, sacred, alive. The figure staggered, its mask cracking. For the first time, its voice shook. You were never meant to awaken. The beast growled, stepping forward, each movement trembling the ground. She was always meant to awaken. The darkness and the light swirled together now, not in battle, but in unison. And in that terrible, breathtaking moment, she realized she was not only free, she was chosen. The cavern groaned. Stones rained from above. Steam hissed from cracks that split across the floor. Her glow pulsed faster. Each heartbeat echoed like a drum, louder, sharper, and impossible to silence. Symbols burned across her skin, etched in light, carved into her very soul. The figure steadied itself. Its cracked mask revealed a glimpse of something, not human. Its skin shimmered like molten glass, alive with veins of fire. It was not a servant. It was something older. Something bound here long before the chains ever touched her. The beast lowered its wings, pressing her forward with its heat. Its breath was smoke, hot and metallic, filling her lungs until she coughed. Yet beneath the suffocation was a command. Step into the circle. She glanced down. Beneath her feet, the glowing cracks formed a perfect ring. A seal! A prison, and she was standing at its centre. The figure raised the blade again, now burning brighter, dripping molten sparks. Do not cross it. Do not unleash what lies below. Its voice was no longer confident. It was desperate. The beast's eyes flared red, molten tears dripping like lava. You are not freeing me. You are freeing yourself. The ground trembled. The air grew heavy, each breath sharp as knives. Her fingers brushed the glowing edge of the circle. Heat licked her skin, searing, blistering, yet familiar as if it belonged to her. A choice. One step forward, and everything would change. The figure lunged. The beast roared. The circle ignited, and in the blinding flash of light, the true prison began to break. The circle split. A crack tore through the stone, glowing like a wind of fire. The sound was deafening, like the grinding of mountains, like the scream of metal dragged across bone. She shielded her face. Heat blasted outward, sharp and dry, carrying the stench of burning earth and sulphur. The chamber shook harder. Dust raining, walls trembling as if they might collapse. From the crack came a voice, not one, many. Whispers layered over screams, a chorus of hunger and rage. They slithered through her ears, coiling in her skull, pressing against her mind. Her knees buckled. The symbols across her body burned brighter, alive, as if answering the voices. She wanted to cover her ears, to run, to stop the sound. But it was not sound. It was inside her. The figure staggered backward, mask splitting further. No, it cannot be unbound. Not here. Not now. Its voice cracked with fear. The beast spread its wings, shielding her with shadows that rippled like smoke. Its growl rolled deep, a warning not to falter. Do not resist them. They are yours, always yours. The crack widened. A hand, massive, clawed made of molten stone, grasped the edge. The cavern wailed with pressure, the air bending, pulling as if gravity itself was breaking. Her skin prickled, her vision blurred. She felt every vibration, every tremor, as if the earth's heartbeat had synced with her own. Then, a single word boomed from the pit, a word in no language she knew, yet she understood it. Awaken. The chamber plunged into silence. The whispers ceased, and the hand froze, waiting for her to decide. Her breath caught. The silence pressed in, thick and crushing, as if the world itself held its breath. The molten hand trembled at the edge of the crack, waiting for her. Her glow flickered. The symbols across her arms wreathed, shifting like living fire. She felt them pulse with every heartbeat, pulling her closer to the circle's heart. The figure staggered forward. Its blade hissed, dripping sparks that died before they struck the ground. Its mask split fully, revealing a face carved from glass and flame, fractured and burning from within. You cannot choose this. You do not know what it will cost. The beast stepped between them. Its wings spread wide, feathers of ash curling into smoke. Its growl shook the chamber like thunder. She knows. Her blood remembers. Her soul was bound here long before yours. The figure raised the blade higher. Its hands shook, not with rage, with fear. The crack widened. Heat licked at her skin, sharp and stinging. The whispers surged back, not chaotic now, but pleading, voices begging her to take the final step. Her heart pounded. Her breath came ragged. She could taste iron in the air, heavy and bitter. The stone beneath her feet quivered alive. The beast lowered its head, eyes glowing like embers. Stepped forward.
Finish it! The figure screamed. Do not!
If you awaken what sleeps, the sea itself will burn. The molten hand clenched, claws digging deep into stone. The air cracked with energy, sharp enough to split bone. Every sound, every breath, every thought, built to a single point of breaking. And then, she moved, one step forward. The circle ignited like the sun. The cavern exploded with light. Light tore through the cavern, blinding, searing, alive. The walls cracked outward, molten stone dripping like blood. The air shuddered, vibrating with a low hum that rattled her teeth. Every breath burned, filled with sulphur and salt thick enough to choke. A shadow moved inside the light, massive, shifting, too vast to take shape all at once. She saw claws first, jagged, blackened, dripping with molten fire. Then wings not feathered, not scaled, but made of smoke and glowing veins of magma. They stretched wide, scraping the ceiling, sending shards of stone crashing down. The figure stumbled back, its blade dimming. Its voice cracked. No, this is not awakening. This is release. The beast bowed its head, not in fear, but reverence. Its voice rumbled low, reverberating through her chest. At last, the heart of the mountain rises. The light dimmed enough for her to see eyes. Eyes buried in the shadow. Eyes too many to count. They blinked in unison, glowing red, each one locking onto her. Her knees trembled. The symbols on her body flared, connecting into a single burning mark across her chest. It pulsed with the same rhythm as the creature's gaze. The voices returned, not whispers now. Commands? Find? Become. Breathe. The figure screamed, rushing forward, blade aimed at her. But the hand of the rising thing swiped once. The impact was thunder. Stone shattered. The figure was flung against the far wall, mask splintering into dust. Silence followed. Only her breathing remained, fast, shallow. The beast leaned close, smoke curling around her face. You have called it. Now you must choose it to master it, or be consumed. The creature from the abyss shifted again, its form breaking the cavern itself. The ground opened wider. Water surged upward, boiling as it touched the light, and in the chaos a single thought pressed into her mind. Not hers, its. We have waited for you. The cavern groaned. Stone snapped like brittle bone. Heat pressed against her skin until every nerve screamed. She staggered back, eyes locked on the thing rising from the abyss. Its body was shifting, never still, a storm of molten rock and shadow. Its many eyes blinked, each one burning with recognition. Memories not her own surged into her mind. Images, flashes. She saw herself standing here, not as she was now, but as another, older, wreathed in the same burning light. Her chest tightened. The mark carved into her skin pulsed, beating in time with the memories. She felt the heat of battle, the weight of chains, the sound of screams swallowed by the sea. Her voice trembled. I was here before. The beast lowered its head, smoke curling from its jaws. Yes, you bound it once, and in binding it you bound yourself. The figure, broken but not destroyed, clawed itself from the rubble. Its voice rasped, desperate.
She is the seal. Do you not understand? If she remembers fully, the world drowns.
The abyssal creature shifted closer. Its claws scraped stone, sparks flying like meteors. Its voice pressed into her skull, cold and endless. Not drowned. Remade. The ground quaked harder, cracks splitting into rivers of fire. Water from the ocean above poured in, hissing to steam before touching the glowing floor. The air turned thick, metallic, tasting of ash and blood. Her legs shook. Her heart pounded. She stood between them, the beast urging her forward, the figure clawing toward her, and the abyssal voice calling her home. The symbols on her body flared once more, burning so bright they seared the walls. A scream tore from her throat, not of pain, but of memory. And in that scream, the circle shattered completely. From the abyss, the full shape began to rise. The circle broke apart. Stone and fire burst upward, filling the cavern with blinding light. Her scream echoed, swallowed by the roar that rose from the abyss. The ground split wide. Steam blasted upward in violent waves, stinging her skin. The air shook, heavy with the scent of burning salt and iron. Shapes began to climb from the rift. Not one body, not one form. Fragments of many shifting and folding into each other. She glimpsed wings of molten ash, stretching wide enough to eclipse the chamber. She saw a spine that glowed like a chain of volcanoes. She saw a jaw lined with teeth like jagged obsidian, dripping fire instead of blood. But what froze her most were the eyes, thousands, burning in clusters across its body, all turning toward her. Each one blinked in rhythm with the mark on her chest. Her body convulsed. The symbols burned hotter, sinking deeper into her flesh. Visions flooded her mind. Cities swallowed by boiling seas. Skies split open with fire, her own face watching it all, not with fear but with command. The beast at her side bowed lower, wings folded, trembling not from fear but reverence. Its voice was a growl, low and certain. You were never the jailer, you were the key. The figure screamed, voice breaking into madness.
Do not listen! If you give yourself to it, nothing will survive!
Nothing. The abyssal creature dragged itself higher, its claws raking stone, its many voices rising in unison. We remember you. We obey you. We become you. The cavern shook as if the earth itself might split apart. The ocean above groaned, water rushing, pressing, ready to collapse into the fire below. Her knees buckled, her pulse raced. She could not tell if the heat around her was killing her or remaking her. And then the creature's true form began to take shape in the light. The light seared the cavern walls, stone melted. Water hissed into steam before it could touch the ground. The creature rose higher, its body twisted, never settling, as if the earth itself could not contain its shape. Each glimpse was a wound to the mind, too vast, too wrong. She saw coils of magma that beat like veins, wings of shadow streaked with fire, folding and unfolding with the rhythm of storms, a mouth that opened not once, but many times, each layered within the other, each lined with obsidian teeth. The sound it made was not a roar, it was a vibration. A hum so deep it shook the marrow in her bones. It carried through her chest, through the glowing mark, through the very air. Her vision blurred. The cavern swayed. She could smell scorched stone, copper, and something sweeter like charred fruit rotting in fire. The figure dragged itself closer, blood hissing where it touched the molten floor. Its glass-like skin cracked deeper, shards falling away to reveal raw flame beneath. Its voice was hoarse, broken, but urgent. "You are not chosen. You are consumed. That thing has worn your face before. It will wear it again." Her heart pounded harder, sensing with the abyssal rhythm. The voices returned, layering over each other, filling her skull. "We are you. You are us. Awaken what was lost." The beast beside her pressed its wing close, sheltering her from the storm of heat. Its eyes glowed with firelight, unblinking. "It lies. You were always meant to rise. You are its equal, not its prey." The ground split wider. A second claw broke free, dripping molten stone, each finger tipped with talons sharp enough to carve mountains. The ceiling cracked above, and ocean water rode downward, only to vaporize before touching the abyssal form. The chamber was no longer just a prison, it was becoming a gate, and in the center of the chaos, the mark on her chest ignited, branding the air with light so fierce it burned shadows from the walls. She screamed, not in pain, but in awakening. The creature answered. Her scream echoed through the cavern. It was met by the creature's voice, 1,000 tones layered as one, vibrating the stone, the water, the air. Her body convulsed. The symbols carved in light along her skin read, pulling toward the mark on her chest. Each line seared, fusing, burning brighter until she was wrapped in fire. The cavern groaned, the ceiling split. Water thundered down, but every drop turned to steam before it reached the floor. The air grew heavy, sharp with iron and salt, every breath cutting like glass. The figure fell to its knees. Its blade was gone, melted to slag. Its glass-like flesh crumbled, exposing raw flame. Yet still it crawled closer, its voice hoarse and broken. "You do not remember what you are. You are the seal. If you merge with it, you end the world." The beast bared its teeth, smoke curling from its jaws. Its growl shook the ground beneath her feet. "She is not the seal. She is the spark. The world ends without her." The creature from the abyss rose taller. Its wings spread wide, blotting out all light. Its claws gripped the cavern walls, each touch melting stone to rivers of fire. Thousands of eyes blinked in unison, all locked on her. She could feel its heartbeat inside her skull. Heavy, endless, it pulsed through her veins, matching her own until there was no difference. The whispers returned, closer, sharper. "We remember you. We carry your name. You are the fire that binds." Her legs trembled. Her chest burned. She reached out, and her hand glowed with the same molten light that bled from its claws. The figure screamed, voice tearing apart. "Do not touch it!" But she already had. The moment her hand brushed the air before its skin, light exploded. The mark on her chest split open like a wound, and something vast, ancient, and unstoppable poured through. The merge had begun. The light engulfed everything. Stone shattered. Water boiled into mist. The cavern became a storm of fire and shadow. Her body rose from the ground, limbs weightless, eyes unblinking. The mark on her chest widened, bleeding light that pulsed like a second heart. The beast roared, but not in triumph. Its voice cracked, strained, trembling as though even it feared what it had awakened. Its claws reached for her, then froze midair, trembling inches from her skin. The figure dragged itself forward, armor gone, skin flaking to ash. Yet still it crawled, hand outstretched, whispering through broken teeth. "Listen to me. You are not its vessel. You are its cage. If you finish the merge, there will be no return." Her body shook violently. Images bled into her mind. Cities drowning in flame, skies split with storms, oceans rising like walls of glass. She could smell the burning. She could hear the screams. They were not memories. They were warnings. The beast leaned close, its 1,000 eyes narrowing into one. Its voice seeped into her veins. "You are mine. You always were. Seal or cage, it makes no difference. Without you, nothing survives." Her pulse thundered. The cavern cracked open wider, revealing a void beneath. An endless pit glowing with fire, drawing everything toward it. Stone, water, air. Even her breath was being pulled away. The figure let out a final cry. Its voice was swallowed by the roar of the abyss. Its hand reached hers, and for a moment she felt its warmth against her skin. But then the ground gave way. She was falling. The beast followed, wings spread like a shroud. The figure's hand slipped into the dark after her, and the world above her fell silent. Darkness swallowed her, cold, weightless, endless. She drifted through the void, every heartbeat echoing louder than thunder. Her body felt both heavy and insubstantial, as if she were dissolving into the abyss itself. Whispers curled around her. Thousands of voices layered and overlapping. Some begged, some screamed, some laughed with a hollow, inhuman sound. A faint glow appeared below. Not fire, not light. Something older, something alive. It pulsed in rhythm with her mark, tugging at her chest like an anchor. She reached for it, though her hands shook violently. Her fingers brushed its surface, smooth, warm, vibrating with power. The beast descended behind her, wings slicing through the void without sound. Its presence pressed against spine, suffocating, inevitable. You feel it now. It whispered, voice vibrating inside her skull. The heart of the abyss. It is what I was torn from. It is what you were born to awaken. Her lungs burned. Her mind screamed to resist, but the mark on her chest throbbed harder, veins glowing like rivers of fire beneath her skin. Every beat of her heart echoed the abyss's rhythm. Then, a light flared above, faint at first, but growing. She looked up. The figure, or what remained of it, no longer broken, no longer ash. It shone like a silhouette carved from starlight, reaching down with a steady hand. Its voice returned calm and fierce. You still have a choice. Take my hand or take its. The void trembled. The heart's glow swelled. The beast spread its wings wider, laughter shaking the darkness. Choose, child. For whatever hand you take, the world will follow. Her body shivered violently. Both hands stretched toward her. One of light, one of shadow. The abyss itself held its breath. Her breath caught in her throat. The void pressed closer, crushing her from all sides. Her trembling fingers hovered between the two hands. Light burned above her. Shadow throbbed below. The beast's laughter rippled through her bones, sharp as broken glass. The figure's silence was just as loud, steady, unshakable. Her chest convulsed. The mark seared, spreading fire through every vein. Her skin glowed with an otherworldly shimmer, half dark, half bright. She screamed. Her voice fractured the silence, echoing endlessly. Both hands surged forward at once. Large, shadow grasped, and her body was pulled apart. Agony split her in two. One half weightless, radiant, burning like a star. The other half heavy, venomous, dripping with shadow. The void cracked. Lines of white fire tore across the abyss like lightning. The beast roared, wings flaring. The figure descended, its star-born form blazing brighter. The heart of the abyss pulsed violently. A shockwave ripped outward, scattering the whispers into shrieks. Reality itself seemed to buckle. Her body convulsed, suspended between light and dark. Her eyes opened, and in them both forces warred. She was no longer only human, no longer only chosen. She was becoming something else. The beast's laughter faltered. The figure hesitated, and she realized neither of them had expected this. The void trembled again, not with their power, but with hers. Her scream faded into a silence so deep it felt alive. The abyss no longer pulled her down. It waited. It listened. Her body hovered between light and shadow, trembling. The mark blazed across her skin, spreading in jagged veins. Her heartbeat no longer belonged to her. It thundered with two rhythms, colliding like war drums. The beast growled, its voice shaking stone and air. You were meant to break. A figure's light dimmed as though uncertain. You were not meant to merge. Her lips parted, but the voice that spilled out was not hers. It was layered, echoing, fractured, two voices entwined as one. I am not yours, she whispered. The abyss shivered at her words. She raised her hands. One glowed like burning dawn. The other dripped with living shadow. The void cracked wider. Fragments of reality shattered, spinning into nothingness. The heart pulsed again faster, as if afraid. The beast staggered back. Its wings faltered, molten eyes wide. The figure froze, its brilliance flickering like a dying star. She stepped forward. Her foot pressed onto nothing, yet the void solidified beneath her. Every breath she drew warped the space around her. Light, dark both obeyed. For the first time, the abyss itself bent, and in that bending, something deeper stirred. A presence older than the beast, older than the figure, older than the abyss itself. A whisper slid through the cracks, low, hungry, unfathomably vast. At last she wakes. The whisper coiled through the abyss like smoke. It slid into her ears, into her blood, into the marrow of her bones. Every syllable was weight, every word a chain. Her chest tightened. The mark burned brighter, pulsing with the whisper's rhythm. Her breath faltered, yet her body moved on its own. The beast lowered its head, trembling, its molten eyes dimmed, not in rage, but in fear. The figure staggered backward, its light fractured into shards, trembling like broken glass. Even it could not withstand that voice. The abyss bent further, not toward her, not toward them, but toward the hidden source. The cracks widened. Black tendrils of nothingness unfurled, writhing like serpents. From the hollow depths, something stirred, her mind filled with images. Cities swallowed whole, stars devoured, time collapsing in on itself. Her knees weakened. The ground beneath her flickered, threatening to vanish. Yet the power inside her steadied her stance. The whisper came again. Child of fracture, you are the door. Her eyes widened. The abyss around her stilled. The beast no longer growled. The figure no longer shone. Both stared at her, not as prey, not as threat, but as the key. The truth struck her like a blow. She wasn't chosen to fight them. She wasn't chosen to stop them. She was chosen to open what lay beyond. The void shuddered. A sound rose deeper than thunder, like the heartbeat of something vast for something waking. The heartbeat grew louder. It shook the abyss. It shook her bones. It rattled her teeth until she thought they would shatter. The mark on her skin seared with white fire. Her vision blurred. Every blink brought flashes of impossible landscapes. Oceans suspended in the sky. Mountains moving like living things. Skies torn open by rivers of light. The beast whimpered. The figure fell to one knee, light dripping from its form like blood. Neither moved against her, neither dared. The void stretched. It bent like fabric pulled too tight. The air hissed thin and sharp, tasting of iron and ash. Her chest heaved. She felt her pulse sink with the sound, one beat, another, until her body was no longer her own. She raised her hand, not by will, but by command. The abyss split. A line of pure nothing tore across the darkness. It pulsed with a colour her mind could not name. A colour that hurt to see. The whisper came again. It slithered into her skull. It pressed against the back of her eyes. Open, her hand trembled. Her mouth tasted of copper. Her body screamed to resist, but the mark would not let her. The crack widened. From within, a faint glow seeped through. Not light, not fire. Something older, something waiting. The abyss fell silent. Even the beast and the figure held their breath. She realised the truth too late. She was not standing at the threshold. She was the threshold. The glow thickened, leaking through her veins, forcing its way into the world. The heartbeat rose again louder, faster. The void itself trembled as if bracing for what would come through. And then, the crack split wider. The glow bled out, coating the void in shifting waves. It clung to her skin, slick and heavy, like oil made of light. Her body arched. Every nerve burned. Her scream echoed, yet it was not her voice. It was layered, ancient, a chorus of countless tongues. The beast staggered back, its molten eyes dimmed to embers. Its claws dug into the ground, but it did not strike. It feared her. The figure's light flickered, unstable, like a dying star. It whispered words she could not understand, bowing low. Not in defeat, in reverence. Her chest felt as if it would burst. Her veins wreathed beneath her skin, glowing with the same unnamable colour. The mark on her arm stretched alive, branching like roots across her body. The abyss trembled harder. The air groaned. A sound like stone grinding against stone filled the void. She realised it was not the void moving. It was what lay beyond, pressing against the fracture. Her knees buckled, her hands still raised. She tried to pull it back. She tried to close the crack. But the whisper crushed her resistance. You are the door, you cannot close what you are. Her heart skipped a beat, then another. The silence after each was unbearable, like the world had paused. And then the glow surged. Something vast and formless pressed through the crack. It did not step. It did not crawl. It poured. A shadow of impossible shape slithered into the abyss. It had no face, no limbs, no body. Yet every part of her mind insisted it was alive. Watching, the beast fell flat, groveling. The figure collapsed, its light sputtering to ash. And she felt the thing wrap around her soul. Not devouring, not destroying, claiming. Her eyes burned with the same light that leaked from the crack. Her voice broke free, layered with the whisper itself. It begins. The abyss convulsed. The light from the crack surged outward, spilling in violent waves. Each ripple carried heat, then cold, then something that was neither. It pressed against her skin, against her lungs, as if the void itself was breathing through her. The shadow crawled higher. It loomed, formless yet towering, stretching until it blotted out what little horizon remained. Every angle of it was wrong. Every curve fought her vision. Her eyes watered, her skull throbbed, yet she could not look away. Her veins pulsed with its rhythm. Her heart no longer beat for her. It belonged to the thing. The beast whimpered again. Its molten body shivered, steam hissing from its cracked skin. It dared not rise. The figure of fractured light crawled forward. It bowed, pressing what remained of its face to the trembling ground. Its voice cracked, brittle and broken. The vessel has awakened. She gasped, choking on the air. It was thick, metallic, reeking of blood and rust. Every breath left a film on her tongue. Every exhale felt stolen. The shadow moved, not closer, not away, but through her. Her vision split. She saw the abyss. She saw the world beyond. She saw herself stretched across time, born and reborn, always carrying the same mark. Her scream tore out, but it was drowned by the sound. Her heartbeat was no longer a pulse, it was a drum, an anthem, the beginning of something vast. The crack behind her tore wider. Shapes shifted in the glow. Hands ice. Faces pressed against the surface, begging to step through. The whisper rose stronger, flooding her skull until thought itself vanished. The door is open. The tide will follow. The abyss shook violently. The beast shrieked. The figure burned into ash. And she, her body lit from within, glowing brighter, brighter until the shadow and her form were indistinguishable. The tide had begun to spill. The crack howled. Not with wind, not with fire, but with voices. They poured out in waves, low murmurs, high shrieks, whispers layered upon whispers, until the sound became a storm. Her ears blood. Warm liquid slid down her neck. Still, she could not close her eyes. The light forced them open. The glow surged. From within, the tide spilled. Not water, not smoke. Something heavier alive, revving as it flowed. It dragged itself across the abyss. Every inch of ground it touched turned black, spitting with cracks that glowed from beneath. The beast wailed. Its molten body collapsed, dissolving into ash as the tide swallowed it. The figure of light screamed once, then fractured into shards, each shard extinguished as the tide surged over it. She stood alone, Her body arched. Her chest burned as if a second heart had been forced into her ribs. Her skin pulsed with the unnameable colour, veins glowing like rivers of fire. The tide wrapped around her feet. It was cold and burning at once, smooth, but lined with countless unseen teeth. It climbed her legs, her waist, her chest. Instead of drowning, she rose higher. The tide carried her, lifting her above the abyss. Her hair floated, her eyes blazing, her mouth moving without will. The voices now spoke through her, all at once. We have crossed. The abyss shuddered, not in resistance, but in surrender. The crack split fully. The tide surged through, spilling endlessly. Hands reached out, eyes blinked in the air. Shapes crawled free, dripping in that impossible light. And still she rose, a beacon, a vessel, a door that could never close again. The shadow coiled around her, whispering without sound. Her lips moved with its words. The world above will see the first wave. Above the surface, the sea stilled. Not a ripple, not a wave. Just silence stretched across the endless water. The research vessel groaned in the quiet. Its metal hull creaked as if under some unseen weight. The crew whispered among themselves, their voices thin and brittle. Then it came, a vibration. So faint at first it felt like imagination, a hum rising from beneath the ocean floor. The captain pressed his hand to the railing. It quivered like a living thing. The steel was warm, too warm. A sudden stench rose with the mist, rotting salt, burnt iron, a sweetness that clung to the throat and would not let go. The water bulged, not in waves, not in storm, but in one enormous swell, as if something vast shifted beneath. The crew scrambled to their posts, ice wide, breath sharp, but none spoke of what they saw. Beneath the surface, shapes red, too many to count, too fast to follow. Their forms blurred fluid, changing with every heartbeat. The hum deepened. Now it was not sound, it was pressure. It pressed into their skulls, into their bones, until teeth ached and blood drummed in their ears. Then, a crack of light tore through the water. It shot upward like a spear, blinding white, splitting the night sky. The ocean boiled. Steam roared around the ship. The crew screamed, clutching their ears as voices filled the mist. Not human voices. Not one. Thousands. All speaking at once. The captain fell to his knees. His eyes rolled back. He whispered the words as if repeating them from memory. The tide has reached us. The sea split. A long tear of light widened across the surface, stretching farther than the eye could follow. The water hissed and boiled, releasing clouds of black steam. The crew staggered back, shielding their faces. The mist stung their eyes, burned their lungs, and left a bitter taste like ash. Every breath felt poisoned. Shapes began to rise. First shadows, then forms, then something far worse, hands. Dozens. Hundreds. Dripping with the same unnameable glow that had bled through the abyss. They clawed at the air, their fingers too long, bending at angles that should have snapped bone. Each hand pulled itself higher, dragging something massive behind it. The ocean heaved as if the entire floor was lifting upward. The ship pitched violently, metal screaming under the strain. Crew members slipped, some vanishing into the boiling water with cries that ended too quickly. The voices grew louder. They overlapped, layered, twisting into words that were not words. Every syllable pressed into the skull like a blade, carving meaning too deep to ignore. One sailor clutched his head. Blood streamed from his nose, his ears, his eyes. He smiled as he fell to his knees. They are here. The light flared brighter. From the wound in the sea, a colossal figure began to rise. It had no face, no body, only shifting, redding shapes. Yet every soul on the vessel knew it was watching. The captain forced himself to his feet. His voice cracked, thin against the storm of whispers. Where we were never meant to see this. The ship lurched again, the glow reflected in the captain's glassy eyes. The tide was climbing, and it was not stopping. The figure towered higher. Water cascaded down its shifting form, each drop glowing as though infused with something unnatural. The air itself grew heavy, pressing down on the crew like a crushing hand. The ship groaned, bolts snapped, wood splintered. It felt as if the ocean wanted to swallow the vessel whole. The whispers sharpened, no longer distant echoes. Now they were close, inside their heads, inside their blood. One sailor began to laugh, a broken, trembling laugh that turned into a scream. He hurled himself into the glowing sea, arms outstretched, vanishing in an instant. The captain gripped the rail, knuckles white. His voice was a whisper drowned in thunder. Hold fast, don't listen, don't look. But it was already too late. The hands reached the ship. Fingers like blackened steel curled around the hull. The vessel shuddered, dragged toward the gaping wound in the sea. A stench filled the air, rot, salt, and something older. Something that didn't belong to earth or ocean. From deep within the figure, an eye began to open. Not one, not two, but countless, each one staring unblinking, with a hunger that no human mind could bear. The crew collapsed where they stood. Some prayed, some cursed, some went silent, lips moving without sound. The captain lifted his gaze, tears carving tracks down his face. And then, the storm above split. A column of blinding light struck the sea. The abyss answered back. The light seared across the waves, blinded, pure. It cut through the storm like a blade through cloth. The abyss recoiled. The figure twisted. Its countless eyes snapped shut, dripping shadows into the sea. But the light was not salvation. It was a summons. The ocean trembled. Waves rose higher, crashing against the ship, as though the water itself were fleeing. Something vast stirred below, deeper than the abyss, older than the dark. The crew clung to ropes, splintered beams, each breath ragged with terror. The captain's voice broke through the roar. "It's not fighting us, it's calling something else!" And then the water split. Not like before. This time it opened with precision as if parted by invisible hands. A sound rose from the depths. Not thunder, not wind, but a low resonant hum that shook their bones, their teeth, their very thoughts. From the rift a shape began to rise. Not shadow, not light, but something in between. A form veiled in mist, vast enough to blot out the horizon. The whispers ceased. Silence, the silence of held breath before revelation. The figure in the storm bent low, almost bowing, as if in reverence, and the crew understood with horror. This was not the master. This was only the herald. The true presence was coming. The sea held still. The storm froze mid-roar. Every drop of rain hung like glass in the air. The crew stared into the rising shape. It did not roar. It did not strike. It only watched. 1,000 eyes flickered across its form. Not hostile. Not kind. Only knowing. Then, just as suddenly, the light collapsed. The abyss closed. The sea crashed back into itself. The ship, broken and battered, floated in silence. The figure in the storm was gone. The vast shape beneath had vanished. But in the minds of the crew, the hum remained. A vibration deep inside their skulls. A promise. A warning. They survived. Yet they knew survival was not victory. Something had awakened. Something that had seen them. And once seen, they could never be forgotten. The horizon cleared. The first rays of dawn pierced the mist. To any watching, it was a new day. But for those who had witnessed the depths, it was only the beginning.